This video is about a cook had no money for food until a millionaire changed his whole life. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. In a bustling town where the aroma of fresh bread and the chatter of people filled the air, there lived a humble cook named Marco. Every morning, he awoke at dawn, greeted by the soft glow of sunlight spilling through his window. His small apartment was adorned with kitchen utensils and a few cherished photographs, remnants of better days. Marco had once been a chef at a prestigious restaurant, known for his exquisite dishes and warm spirit. However, a sudden economic downturn had left him jobless and struggling. Despite his challenges, Marco's passion for cooking burned brightly within him. Every day, he sought ways to keep his skills sharp, experimenting with whatever ingredients he could afford. His pantry was often bare, filled with remnants of meals past, some stale bread, a few potatoes, and a handful of spices. Undeterred, he transformed these modest ingredients into simple yet flavorful dishes. On some days, he would invite neighbors over to share a meal, his heart swelling with joy as laughter filled the room. But as weeks turned into months, the weight of financial strain began to take its toll. Bills piled up, and with each passing day, Marco's hope waned. He would sit at his tiny kitchen table, staring at the empty plate before him, a stark reminder of what he had lost. Yet, in his heart, he knew he could not give up. He clung to the belief that tomorrow might bring something better. One chilly afternoon, as Marco was walking through the town market, he noticed a crowd gathered around a table laden with colorful produce. His eyes sparkled at the sight of fresh vegetables and herbs, memories of vibrant dishes flooding his mind. He approached the table, hoping to find something to inspire his next meal, but all he could do was admire from afar. With a sigh, he turned to leave, feeling the familiar pang of hunger. Just then, a voice called out from behind him. "Hey there, you look like you could use a good meal." Marco turned to find a woman in her 60s, her face warm and inviting. She was the owner of the market stall, and her hands were covered in dirt, evidence of her hard work. "Why don't you take this home? It is about to spoil, and I'd hate to see it go to waste." Marco hesitated, touched by her kindness. "Oh, I couldn't possibly." "Nonsense, we all need a little help sometimes. I am Maria, by the way. It is a pleasure to meet you," she said with a friendly smile, pushing a bag of tomatoes and greens toward him. As Marco accepted the bag, gratitude filled his heart. "Thank you, Maria. I promise to make something special with these." He felt a spark of hope, as if that small act of kindness had lifted a heavy weight from his shoulders. The next day, Marco prepared a delicious meal using Maria's produce. He invited his neighbors, serving up plates of vibrant tomato salad and sauteed greens. Laughter and conversation flowed, filling the room with warmth. It was a simple gathering, but for Marco, it felt like a celebration. With each bite, his connection with those around him deepened, reminding him of the importance of community. As weeks passed, Maria and Marco formed a bond, meeting regularly at the market where she would offer him her surplus produce. In return, Marco would cook for her, crafting delightful meals that she cherished. Their friendship blossomed, rooted in generosity and shared love for food. Marco began to see that even in his struggles he could still give back, which rekindled his spirit. One day, while helping Maria at her stall, Marco noticed a man observing them from a distance. He wore an expensive suit, and the air around him seemed to shift as he approached. "Excuse me," the man said, his voice deep and commanding. "I couldn't help but notice the warmth between you two. It's rare to see such genuine kindness." Marco smiled, feeling a flush of pride. "We help each other out. Food connects us all." The man nodded, his expression contemplative. "I am Julian. I own a few restaurants in the city. I am always on the lookout for talent. Ever considered working in a place like that again?" Marco's heart raced at the thought. "I would love that, but I haven't worked in a restaurant for a while. I am not sure if I am ready." Doubts crept in, but the flicker of hope ignited his spirit. "Everyone has to start somewhere again," Julian replied, his tone encouraging. "Let us arrange a tasting. I want to see what you can create." He handed Marco a business card and walked away, leaving Marco in disbelief. Days turned into a whirlwind of preparation for the tasting. Marco spent hours reflecting on his culinary roots, surrounded by the memories of his past life in the kitchen. He meticulously crafted a menu, pouring his heart into each dish. The thought of rekindling his passion drove him forward, his determination unwavering. On the day of the tasting, Marco felt a mix of anxiety and excitement coursing through him. He arrived at Julian's upscale restaurant, the ambience a stark contrast to his humble apartment. The elegant decor and the hustle of the kitchen filled him with awe. With every step, he reminded himself of the journey that had led him here. He was not just a cook, he was a fighter. As he prepared the dishes, Marco drew strength from the memories of his neighbors, Maria's unwavering kindness, and the laughter shared over meals. The kitchen buzzed around him, and when Julian arrived, Marco presented his creations with pride. Each dish was infused with love, showcasing his resilience and creativity. Julian tasted each plate thoughtfully, nodding in appreciation. When he finished, he looked at Marco, his expression a blend of surprise and admiration. "You have an incredible gift. Your food tells a story. I would love to have you on my team." Tears of relief and joy filled Marco's eyes. "Thank you, Julian. I won't let you down." He felt as if the clouds that had loomed over him for so long were finally parting, revealing a bright sky ahead. With a renewed sense of purpose, Marco stepped into this new chapter of his life. He knew the road ahead would not be easy, challenges would arise, and he would face them head-on. Yet he carried with him the strength of community, the lessons of kindness, and the resilience forged through struggle. As he walked away from the restaurant that day, Marco glanced back at the door, a smile blossoming on his face. This was not just a job, it was a chance to rebuild his dreams. And in that moment, he realized that no matter how dark the road might seem, hope could always bloom, even from the tiniest seeds of kindness. The journey had just begun, and Marco was ready to embrace it, fueled by the love of food and the connections he had forged. And as he stepped into the future, he knew that every meal he created would carry the spirit of resilience, echoing the beauty of the human heart. As days turned into weeks, Marco dove headfirst into his new role at Julian's restaurant, aptly named A Taste of Hope. Each morning began anew, with a crisp air whispering promises of possibility. Yet beneath the surface of his excitement lay the remnants of doubt. Memories of his struggles often resurfaced, teasing him with the thought of failure. One late afternoon, Marco stood by the busy kitchen, watching chefs dash around, their faces a mix of concentration and passion. He was still adjusting to the rhythm of the place, feeling the pressure to prove himself. The sous chef, a stern yet talented woman named Alina, called out, "Marco, those onions need to be caramelized faster." Startled from his thoughts, he quickly got to work, feeling the heat of the stove and the clock ticking in the background. As he sliced the onions, tears welled in his eyes, not just from the pungent aroma but from the pressure he felt. He was overwhelmed, convinced he might not fit into this fast-paced world he had once thrived in. "Hey, are you okay?" Alina's voice cut through his thoughts, softer now, a hint of concern in her tone. Marco turned to her, forcing a smile. "Just fine, just getting used to everything. Look, I've been there, just remember to breathe and trust yourself. You've got this," she encouraged, resting a hand on his shoulder. Her words wrapped around him like a warm blanket, reminding him of Maria's kindness. As the weeks went on, Marco's confidence grew, but so did the demands of the job. One evening, as the dinner rush hit, chaos erupted. Orders piled up, and the heat of the kitchen intensified. Marco felt panic rising. He glanced at Julian, who moved through the kitchen like a maestro conducting a symphony, calm and collected. "Marco, focus, you're doing great, just remember the flavors," Julian shouted over the noise, his voice steady. With each order that left the kitchen, Marco found solace. It was a test of not just skill, but also of his resilience. After a particularly hectic night, when he felt he had barely kept up, he caught a glimpse of his reflection in a stainless steel wall. His eyes, once filled with doubt, now sparkled with a newfound determination. One evening, after a long shift, Marco returned home exhausted but fulfilled. He sat at his kitchen table, the same one where he once stared at an empty plate, and began jotting down ideas for a new dish. Inspiration surged through him as he thought of the flavors he had experienced in the restaurant. The next day, he presented his creation, a dish inspired by his roots: roasted potato gnocchi with wild mushrooms and a drizzle of truffle oil. It was a simple yet elegant dish, a reflection of his journey of growth. "Julian, I'd love for you to try something new I created," Marco said, his heart racing as he nervously plated the dish. Julian took a bite, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. "This is incredible, Marco. You've really captured something special here. We should feature this on our menu." Joy surged within Marco, a tangible confirmation of his hard work. Meanwhile, he couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to give back, just as Maria had done for him. "Julian, I've been thinking," Marco began. "What if we organized a community dinner, a way to give back to those who've supported us?" Julian raised an eyebrow, a smile creeping onto his lips. "I love that idea. Let us make it happen." With Julian's support, preparations for the community dinner began. Marco reached out to local farmers and vendors, gathering fresh ingredients that spoke of the town's spirit. He envisioned an evening filled with laughter, good food, and connection. The night of the event, the restaurant transformed into a vibrant gathering place. Tables were adorned with flowers, and the scent of delicious dishes wafted through the air. People from the community, who had once only passed Marco on the street, now filled the seats, their faces lit up with anticipation. "Welcome, everyone," Marco announced, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. "Tonight, we celebrate community, kindness, and the simple joy of sharing a meal." He served dish after dish, the love and care evident in each one. Laughter echoed around the room as neighbors shared stories and connected over plates of food. Marco watched in awe, the warmth filling his heart. In the crowd, Marco spotted Maria, her face glowing with pride. He rushed over, taking her hands in his. "Thank you for believing in me, Maria. This wouldn't have happened without your kindness." She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "You've turned your struggles into something beautiful, Marco. This is a testament to your spirit." As the evening progressed, Marco felt a sense of belonging wash over him. He realized that this was more than just a dinner, it was a celebration of resilience and hope. The challenges he had faced had shaped him into the person he was, and he was grateful for every moment. After the last plate was cleared, Julian raised a glass, calling for everyone's attention. "Thank you all for being here tonight. Marco has shown us that with resilience and kindness, we can create something truly special." Cheers erupted, and Marco felt a rush of warmth at the recognition. In that moment, he truly understood the power of community and the impact they had on each other's lives. Yet, as the evening came to a close and people began to leave, Marco felt a familiar weight settle in his heart. The doubts he had pushed away began to creep back in. What if this was just a fleeting moment? What if he couldn't sustain this success? "Hey," Julian said, appearing at his side, sensing his unease. "Remember, it's okay to feel uncertain. The journey doesn't end here, it only begins." Marco nodded, feeling a spark of determination flicker within him. "Thank you, Julian. I will keep pushing forward." As days turned into months, Marco continued to work at a taste of hope, cultivating not just his culinary skills but also his relationships in the community. He organized more events, inviting local artists and musicians to showcase their talents, blending food and culture into a tapestry of connection. Yet challenges persisted. One particularly busy evening, a vital supplier fell through, leaving the kitchen scrambling for ingredients. Marco felt the weight of pressure bearing down on him once more. "Marco!" Alina yelled, her voice sharp with urgency. "We need a substitute for the fish dish. Any ideas?" Panic surged through him, but he remembered the community he had built. "Let us use the seasonal vegetables so we can create a hearty vegetable risotto instead." With the team's cooperation and quick thinking, they transformed the crisis into an opportunity. The customers loved the dish, and Marco felt a surge of pride as he witnessed how they adapted and thrived together. Months passed, and Marco's newfound strength became evident. He began experimenting more boldly, creating dishes that merged his heritage with contemporary flavors. His creations gained a reputation beyond the town, drawing attention from food critics and bloggers. One evening, as he was closing up, Julian approached him. "Marco, I want to talk about expanding. Your talent is undeniable, and I believe we could open another location." The idea sent a rush of excitement through Marco, but doubt quickly followed. "But what if I can't handle it? What if it fails?" "Every great venture comes with risk. Remember, you didn't let fear hold you back before. This is just another step in your journey," Julian reassured him. With a deep breath, Marco accepted the challenge. Together, they began planning, pouring their hearts into the project. The new restaurant would embody everything Marco had learned: community, kindness, and resilience. As the opening day approached, Marco couldn't help but reflect on his journey. He was no longer the cook who felt defeated by his circumstances. He was a man who had learned to rise, fueled by hope and the strength of those around him. On opening day, Marco stood before a crowd once more, his heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you for believing in our vision. This restaurant is a celebration of all we've achieved together." As the sun set, casting a golden light over the bustling restaurant, Marco felt a wave of contentment wash over him. He had not just built a restaurant, he had woven a community, and in that he found his true purpose. And as laughter filled the air and plates of food were shared, he realized that struggles were not the end, they were merely stepping stones leading to a brighter future. Hope, after all, had the power to flourish in the hearts of those willing to embrace it. With each new day, Marco continued to cook, inspire, and give back, reminding himself that the beauty of the human spirit lay not in perfection but in the courage to rise again. As the months unfolded, a taste of hope, Marco arrived in the kitchen each day with a renewed sense of purpose. The echo of laughter and the sizzle of pans were now familiar symphonies that resonated deeply within him. He had become not just a cook but a leader, a pillar of strength for the team he had built around him. However, as the initial excitement of his new venture began to settle, the reality of demands began to take shape. The restaurant was busy, often filled to capacity with patrons eager to experience Marco's culinary magic. Still, pressure mounted, and the weight of running a kitchen was ever present. One particularly busy Saturday night, Marco found himself in the thick of chaos. Orders flooded in like a relentless tide, and he moved through the kitchen with an intensity that matched the urgency around him. He glanced at the ticket printer, anxiety tightening his chest as he realized they were falling behind. "Alina!" Marco called, grabbing her attention amid the clatter of pots and pans. "Has the duck confit coming along? We be running out of time." "It is taking longer than expected," she replied, her voice steady despite the anxiety flickering in her eyes. "But we be almost there." Marco could see the stress etched on her face, the same stress he felt coursing through his veins. The kitchen was a whirlwind, and every member was pushing their limits, including him. He took a moment to breathe, allowing the sounds of sizzling and shouts to coalesce into a singular focus. "Okay, everyone, let us regroup," Marco called, gathering the team. "We need to find our rhythm." As they huddled together, each person's gaze met his, and he felt the collective energy shift. "We've overcome challenges together before. We just need to trust each other and communicate. Let us do this." With a renewed sense of unity, the team returned to their stations, and Marco felt a surge of gratitude. Every person in that kitchen had a story, just as he did, and together they embodied resilience. They raced against the clock, working like a well-oiled machine. When the last plate finally went out, Marco felt an overwhelming wave of relief wash over him. "Great job, everyone," he beamed, wiping sweat from his brow. "Let us take a moment to appreciate what we've accomplished tonight." As the team gathered for a brief moment of camaraderie, Marco felt a sense of fulfillment. They were more than just co-workers, they were family, and in the heart of their kitchen, he had discovered not only the strength to lead, but also the joy of collaboration. As weeks turned into months, Marco continued to refine his culinary techniques and expand his repertoire. One evening, he received an unexpected call that set his heart racing. It was a prominent food critic known for his discerning palate and fierce reviews. "Marco, I'd love to come by and sample your menu," the critic said, his tone professional yet inviting. "Of course, I'd be honored," Marco replied, excitement mingling with nerves. "When would you like to come in?" "Next Friday at 7 p.m. I'll be bringing a guest," the critic said. "I look forward to it." After hanging up, Marco felt the familiar flutter of anxiety stirring within him. What if I'd on to impress him? What if he writes something terrible? The doubts began to creep back in, whispering fears he thought he had silenced. As he prepared for the night, he found himself pacing, caught between excitement and self-doubt. "Hey, you okay?" Alina approached him, noticing his unease. "I just got a call from a food critic," he confessed. "He is coming in next week, and what if I mess it up?" Alina chuckled softly, shaking her head. "Marco, you've been doing this long enough. Just cook from the heart. That's what has always set you apart." Her confidence in him rekindled his spirit. "You were right. I need to remember why I started this in the first place." The night of the visit arrived, and Marco felt his heart race as he prepped the kitchen. The air was thick with anticipation. The team worked together seamlessly, the rhythm of the kitchen palpable. When the critic entered, Marco's breath hitched. Dressed in an elegant suit, he exuded an authority that sent waves of nerves through Marco. Yet, he steadied himself, determined to remain focused. The critic sampled each dish Marco had prepared, his expressions unreadable. With every taste, Marco felt himself being drawn into an internal battle. He fought against the urge to watch the critic too closely, knowing he needed to trust his instincts. "Let us take a moment, shall we?" the critic finally said, setting down his fork. Marco's stomach churned. "This food is filled with soul. You've captured the essence of your community beautifully." Relief washed over Marco, his heart swelling with pride. "Thank you so much, I believe food is meant to connect us." The critic nodded thoughtfully. "And you've done just that. I'll be writing a feature on your restaurant. Make sure you keep that spirit alive." That night, Marco celebrated with his team, laughter and joy filling the air. The review would bring attention to A Taste of Hope, but more importantly, it reaffirmed his belief in his journey. As the week progressed, buzz around the restaurant began to grow. New faces filled the seats and Marco felt invigorated. He spent evenings crafting new dishes, each one a reflection of his identity. Yet amidst the excitement, it became clear that with success came new challenges. One afternoon, while reviewing the inventory, Marco learned that a key supplier had unexpectedly increased their prices. "What do? We can keep raising our prices for customers," he told Julian, frustration creeping into his voice. "I know it's tough," Julian replied, his face serious. "But we need to explore options. Let us think outside the box." Marco felt a fire ignite within him. What if we source locally? There are plenty of farmers around who would love to partner with us. Julian nodded, impressed. "That is a fantastic idea. Let us reach out and see what we can arrange." Determined to make it work, Marco visited local farms, meeting farmers who shared his passion for fresh ingredients. He forged relationships that blossomed into partnerships, each one rooted in trust and mutual respect. As the seasons changed, so did the menu, reflecting the bounty of the local harvest. Marco's dedication to his community deepened, and every dish became a testament to the strength of collaboration and resilience. One day, as he was closing up, Maria dropped by the restaurant. "I wanted to see how you're doing," she said, her eyes sparkling with pride. "I am so grateful for the support you've given me, Maria. I couldn't have done this without you," Marco said, enveloping her in a warm embrace. "You've taken that support and turned it into something beautiful. I am proud to know you," she replied, her voice filled with warmth. As they talked, Marco shared his vision for the restaurant, his dreams for the community, and the importance of kindness that had fueled his journey. "We have to keep giving back," he said. "It is about more than just food, it is about connection." Maria nodded, her expression one of understanding. "You're recreating a legacy, Marco. Just remember, it is okay to lean on others too." With her encouragement echoing in his heart, Marco continued to pour his soul into A Taste of Hope. He organized charity dinners, inviting families in need to enjoy a meal, transforming the restaurant into a haven for those who needed it most. The community embraced these gatherings, filling the restaurant with laughter, warmth, and connection. Marco watched in awe as lives intertwined, each meal served igniting hope within those who walked through the door. One evening, after a successful charity dinner, Marco stepped outside to breathe in the fresh air. The stars twinkled above, and he felt a deep sense of gratitude. He had faced fears, weathered storms, and emerged stronger, but it was the community that had nurtured his spirit. Just then, he noticed a group of kids playing outside, their laughter echoing through the streets. He smiled, knowing that he had created more than just a restaurant. He had built a sanctuary that resonated with love and connection. As Marco returned inside, the warmth of the restaurant enveloped him, reminding him that every challenge was a stepping stone leading to something greater. He was no longer just a cook, he was a storyteller, weaving hope into every dish he prepared. Hand in hand with his community, Marco embraced the journey ahead, knowing that the beauty of the human spirit lay in its ability to rise, to connect, and to share the simple joys of life one meal at a time. As the sun began to set over the quaint town, casting a golden glow on the bustling streets, Marco stood in the kitchen of A Taste of Hope, surrounded by the fragrances of rosemary, garlic, and seared vegetables. It was a familiar symphony, yet tonight it felt different. The air was thick with anticipation as the restaurant prepared for its first anniversary celebration, a milestone that represented not only his journey but the spirit of the community that had embraced him. Marco had envisioned this evening as a grand celebration, where laughter and joy would mingle with the enticing aroma of food. He wanted to honor the people who had lifted him during his darkest days, the same faces that filled the restaurant regularly, each with their own story of resilience. "Marco, are we ready for the big night?" Alina's voice cut through his thoughts, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Almost. Just making sure everything is perfect. We owe it to the people who've supported us," Marco replied, wiping his hands on his apron. "I want this night to be unforgettable." "You're doing amazing," Alina assured him. "With the main you've prepared, it will be." As the team worked together, Marco felt a rush of gratitude. They had become family, a mosaic of diverse stories woven together through their shared love for food. Yet, beneath the surface of excitement, a whisper of doubt crept in. What if tonight didn't meet expectations? What if the challenges he had faced returned to haunt him? "Hey, you still with us?" Alina asked, pulling Marco from his spiral of thoughts. "Just remember, it is a celebration. We've come so far." He nodded, appreciating her encouragement. Yui right, I need to focus on the joy of this moment. As the doors opened, guests began to filter in, filling the restaurant with their warmth and laughter. Marco greeted each familiar face, his heart swelling with pride. People hugged him, expressing their excitement for the evening ahead. Among them, he spotted Maria, her presence a radiant reminder of the kindness that had ignited his journey. Happy anniversary, Marco. You've created something beautiful here, she said, her voice filled with emotion. Thank you, Maria. I couldn't have done it without your support. You believed in me when I had lost hope, he replied, his voice thick with gratitude. No, you believed in yourself, Marco. You just needed a nudge, she said, squeezing his hands. You're a testament to what kindness can do. As the celebration kicked off, Marco and his team served dish after dish, each plate a reflection of their hard work and dedication. The air buzzed with conversation and laughter, enveloping the restaurant in a joyous ambience. Marco moved between tables, connecting with guests, sharing stories about the ingredients and reveling in their joy. Yet, as the evening progressed, Marco felt a familiar weight settle in his chest. The excitement of the night was palpable, but so was the fear of disappointment. He glanced at Julian, who was engaged in conversation with a group of patrons. Marco approached him, feeling a surge of anxiety. Julian, what if we don't meet their expectations? What if they don't love the dishes? Marco's voice trembled. Julian turned to him, his expression steady and reassuring. Marco, you've poured your heart into every dish. Remember, it is not just about the food, it is about the experience you've created. People are here to celebrate you and what this restaurant represents. Taking a deep breath, Marco nodded. Julian was right. This wasn't just about the food, it was about connection, community, and the spirit of resilience that had brought everyone together. As the night continued, Marco presented his signature dish, a warm, roasted vegetable tart with locally sourced greens and a drizzle of balsamic reduction. First bite brought a chorus of delighted murmurs that filled the room. He felt a spark of hope ignite within him. Maybe tonight would be a turning point, a reminder that he was on the right path. As the clock inched towards midnight, Marco gathered everyone around for a toast. The room quieted, and he felt his heart race. Thank you all for being here tonight. This restaurant is more than just a place to eat. It is a symbol of our journey together. Each of you has played a role in my story, and I am grateful for your kindness and support. A cheer erupted from the crowd, their voices filled with warmth and affirmation. To Marco, they shouted, raising their glasses high. The energy surged, wrapping around him like a comforting embrace. But there was a lingering thought in the back of Marco's mind. What would happen when the excitement faded? Would he be able to sustain the momentum? As the guests began to depart, he felt a growing unease. Marco, you were incredible tonight, Aline exclaimed, pulling him into a hug. The response was overwhelming. Thanks, Aline, it felt magical, but now I am worried about what is next, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Just keep doing what you love, she encouraged. You've already proven that you can overcome challenges. Trust in your abilities. Just then, Maria approached. You know, Marco, I remember when you first started cooking with the little you had. Look at you now. You've turned your struggles into something beautiful. Her words resonated deeply, and Marco felt a wave of hope wash over him. I want to keep growing, to honor the community and the lessons I've learned. Then keep pushing forward. You'll find your way, Marie said gently, her eyes reflecting a wisdom that transcended words. Just don't forget to ask for help along the way. In the days following the anniversary, Marco found himself grappling with a mix of exhilaration and fear. Business boomed, but with that came new challenges. One morning, as he reviewed the weekly figures, he felt the weight of pressure returning. The demands had increased, and he was worried about maintaining quality while expanding the menu to keep up with the growing crowd. Marco, you need to talk to the staff about this, Julian advised, noticing the tension etched on Marco's face. I don't bear this burden alone. Marco sighed. I know, but I feel responsible for everyone. If we don't succeed, it affects all of us. Success doesn't mean you have to carry it all alone. You have a talented team. Let them in on the challenges, Julian encouraged. You've built a strong foundation, now trust it. Taking Julian's advice to heart, Marco gathered the team for a meeting. As they sat together, he laid bare his concerns, expressing both his fears and aspirations. To his surprise, their response was overwhelmingly supportive. Marco, we're in this together, Alina said. We can brainstorm creative solutions, let us take it one step at a time. Exactly, the line cook chimed in. If we combine our strengths, we can tackle anything. With their encouragement, ideas began to flow. They discussed ways to streamline the kitchen process and keep the menu fresh without compromising quality. Each suggestion was met with enthusiasm, and all the while, Marco felt an uplifting sense of hope. Let us introduce a seasonal menu that changes regularly, celebrating local produce, Marco proposed, his heart racing with excitement. It'll keep things interesting and engage our community. The team rallied around the idea, and together they crafted a plan to showcase the best local ingredients while supporting farmers. Marco felt a renewed sense of purpose as they brainstormed and collaborated. As the weeks unfolded, the new seasonal menu brought a fresh buzz to the restaurant. Customers eagerly returned, curious about the latest offerings. The collaborative spirit among the staff deepened, and Marco found joy in the kitchen once more. However, unexpected challenges continued to arise. One afternoon, a critical piece of equipment broke down just before dinner service, sending panic rippling through the kitchen. Marco felt the tension rise as he paced, trying to find a solution while the clock ticked down. "Marco?" Alina called out, her voice steady. "We can adapt. Let us focus on what we can do instead of what we can see." Marco took a deep breath, breathing in her words. "You're right. Let us pivot to the grill and showcase some delicious jarred dishes tonight." The team rallied together, and as they improvised, creativity flowed like never before. That evening, the restaurant buzzed with excitement as patrons savored unique grilled dishes, each infused with new flavors. Marco felt alive again, the spark of inspiration reignited. As the seasons changed, so did Marco's understanding of resilience. Each challenge taught him that setbacks were opportunities for growth. One day, while prepping for a charity event, he noticed a group of children outside the restaurant, their laughter ringing in the air. "I want to share this experience with them," Marco said to Millionaire, who was chopping vegetables beside him. "What if we invite them in for a cooking class?" Alina's eyes lit up. "That's a brilliant idea. We can teach them about healthy cooking and make it fun." Together, they organized a workshop, inviting local children to learn and create dishes. The day of the event, the kitchen overflowed with laughter as kids chopped vegetables, mixed ingredients, and created their own pizzas. Marco felt his heart swell with joy as he watched them engage, their faces lighting up with pride over their creations. "Look, I made mine with extra cheese," the young girl exclaimed, her hands covered in flour. "Mine has the best toppings," another chimed in, beaming with